Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
So I am back, you guys. I wanted to do another video, and this one again is geared for new teachers. And these are just some tips that I feel like will help new teachers make it through the school year. Now, I've just been jotting this down for the past month, and I know it's much more than this. And if you have some things to add for new teachers, then add it down below. Add some stuff for me because I don't have it all figured out yet. I've been teaching maybe 11, 12 years or so, and I know I still don't have it all figured out. So if you just have any tips, any advice, any questions, drop that in the comments below, and I will try to answer that. Now, my dog right now is having a fit. I think she wants to be on the video. Anybody else have a Pomeranian that just makes all of this noise, this hacking noise? And every time I start talking, she just starts making it just a little bit louder. So I don't think she's going anywhere right now. So I'm going to try to continue on to see because she's just kind of sitting right beside me. So anyway, my first tip. Well, actually, let me explain to you what I did. So I have it section off into 3 different things. I have it section off, number 1, making it through the first day / week. Number 2, making it through the year. And number 3, making it in your class. So I have tips for each section, so this may get a little bit lengthy. As I stated before, I've been doing this for the past month, just jotting down these notes. So I'm going to dive in with making it through the first day / week. So your first day of teaching, you are going to be so excited. And you're going to have so much anxiety. Now, let me tell you, if you can reflect back to your first day of school, I don't care what grade you were in, you were so anxious and so nervous. You had everything laid out perfectly. You had your outfit laid out. Me and my brother, we used to lay our outfits on the banister or hang it up by the door so we could just walk past and look at it a few times just to make sure it was the right outfit. We also had our lunches packed that night. We just had everything ready to go. Same thing with teaching. You're going to have everything ready to go that day before the first day. But just like it was when you were in grade school, you're going to not really get any sleep that day prior or that night prior. Now, I know me and my brother, we stayed up just about all night. Still, we walked past that outfit about 100 times. And we just laid in the bed just thinking about what that first day was going to be like. Same thing with teaching. You're going to lay in the bed. You're going to try to fall asleep, but you just cannot fall asleep. And you're going to be thinking about so much. But you know that you have that first day planned like it's supposed to be planned. But it's just going to be really hard to go to sleep. So expect to be tired that first day. Matter of fact, that first week, expect to be tired. It is no type of tiredness like first week teacher tiredness. Do not plan anything to do. And what I mean by that, don't plan any outings with any of your friends. If it's your birthday weekend, plan something else to do that next weekend because you're going to be so tired that first week. You're not going to feel like doing anything but sleeping because you'll need time to recover. I am in my 11th or 12th year and I'm still tired that first week. Do not ask me to do anything because the answer is no. Number 1, just know that you're going to probably not get a lot of sleep the night before, and you're going to be tired that first week. Number 2, what I thought was real cute, what one of my coworkers did this year, this is her first year teaching, and what she did was, she had one of these little plaques, or I don't know what necessarily call it, but it said like her name and first day of school. And she held it and she took a picture and she sent it to her mom. And she also took one at the end of the day and one at the end of the week to show how she had changed from the first day to the end of the day to the end of that week. I just thought it was the cutest thing. I would love to have done that like every year going into my first day. But I think it's a great reflection and memory piece. Number 2, you need to take vitamins. Now, when I was a new teacher and I had to go through like orientation and go to all these PDs and stuff, one lady I met, she was like, "Is this your first year?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "You need to make sure you take some vitamins." And I was thinking like, whatever, I'm good. I've been good. I worked in the medical field. I didn't get sick, so I don't necessarily need to take vitamins. Now, let me tell you, it is no type of sickness like new teacher sickness. You will get sick your first year. And it wasn't just my first year. It was every year after that. And I always got sick the end of January, beginning of February. I always got sick. And it was just like an awful type of sickness. So, even after then, that first year I really didn't take any vitamins. Second year, I took those one-a-days. I had to take something. So make sure you take some vitamins your first year. Number 3, going on with that, please wash your hands constantly. Again, I don't know, maybe because I teach science, I think about it and I've seen studies about it. And one of my coworkers, actually she works at another school, she just showed me a lab that she had her students do. She plated the bacteria on their hands, and then made them use some hand sanitizer and then plated the bacteria afterwards. And when I tell you it was disgusting beforehand, it was. So please make sure you constantly wash your hands. Look that up with the CDC, ask Siri, ask anybody you want to. The very first way to avoid sickness is by washing your hands, because you're constantly coming in contact with different types of bacteria and viruses. So make sure you constantly wash your hands. Number 3, carry some Pepto-Bismol. Now, I know this may seem like, oh, why are you saying this? But you're not going to necessarily be able to get up and go to the restroom like you do with any other job. So when your stomach starts hurting, you can't just fly to the restroom like that, because you have to get somebody to watch your class. So as soon as my stomach starts hurting and I'm in school, I take me a little sip of some Pepto-Bismol, because I don't want to have any type of accidents in school. And I just want my stomach to feel good, because if you're feeling bad, then that's going to come across to your students. So I try to keep that. And if I run out, I stock up, I go back to the pharmacy and I get some more. But try to keep something that will settle your stomach, and also try to keep some crackers around too. Next thing, going back off of that, that first week, you're not going to be programmed to go on to the restroom during your breaks. Now, veteran teachers, we know our body gets programmed according to our schedule. When it's lunchtime, I get to go to the restroom. When it's my planning period, I get to go to the restroom before school starts and at the end of the school day. Those are pretty much my restroom breaks. So you're not going to be programmed just as of yet to go to the restroom. So what I would say is find a buddy teacher, figure out when those other teachers are on planning, just in case you need to run to the restroom, or call the office so that someone can come in and watch your class so you can run to the restroom, because again, you're not going to be programmed to go to the restroom as of yet. So that's all I have pretty much for making it through the first day or week. Again, if you have something to add to that, just drop it down below. Making it through the year is next. So these are just some things that I feel like will help you make it through the school year, and maybe for successive school years if you decide to keep going. Number 1, it is important to know your first year, you will not have it all figured out. It is my, and Lord, I really do need to figure out if this is my 11th or 12th year, but I just do not have it all figured out. I learn stuff new all the time. So do not beat yourself up because you will not have it figured out the first year. Really, that first year, you are just kind of going through the motions. You're trying to make it through the day. Then, if you can make it through the day, you're trying to make it through the week. If you can make it through the week, you can make it through the month. If you make it through the month, then you can make it to your first break, Thanksgiving break, Christmas break. So you will be going through the motions, and you will not have it all figured out. So what I suggest with that, and my lead teacher, my old lead teacher, he told me this. He said, keep a journal and record what happens daily. And this can help for a number of ways. Number one, you can do a reflection in your journal of how your lessons go daily. What worked? What did not work? Do you even want to waste time doing that again next year? What would you change the next time about it, even if you wanted to do it again? How did you feel after doing that lesson? How did your students feel? Did they take a whole lot of knowledge from that? Because everything that looks good, I go on the internet and I search for lessons. Sometimes they seem so great until the students get ready to do it, and then they're just not as great. So please keep a journal your first year. And again, do a daily recording, just as a little reflection piece of how your day went. Number two, prioritize. You have to be able to prioritize. Stuff is going to come at you so fast, and the day goes fast, and you're going to be like, what happened? But you have to prioritize, and this is what I mean. I don't know if you have to turn in lessons, if you're required to turn in lesson plans, but you have lesson plans due. You have to grade papers. You have to create lessons. That you have to get stuff set up for a meeting. You have to prioritize those things, and you have to prioritize it by day. Just like if it's report card time and you have to post grades for report cards, line all of those things up, write down exactly what you need to do and prioritize those things. I cannot stress that enough. It is no reason for me to, and I don't want to say the order that I'm going to do it, because you're going to find it your own order, find your own way to do it. So I'm not even going to say that, but you have to be able to prioritize those things. Number three, it's going to be veteran teachers in your building that have done this, and you're going to look at them all the time and was like, man, why didn't I do this? Or I'm so far behind them, or that's great what they are doing. Why didn't I think of that? Or why am I not doing this? Do not keep up with the Joneses. You have to keep up with yourself. Because you're going to beat yourself up so much if you try to keep up with somebody else. So keep up with yourself. Again, just prioritize, figure out what's best to do, and everything else will fall into place. My coworker, she went to something called Ed Camp that we had the option of attending, and one of the things was about self-care there, and she just jotted down some notes and she shared this with me, and this is one of the things that I just felt was great from there. And she says, and it said, the process of becoming better is way more fulfilling than being the best. And man, when I tell you, I felt that with every fiber of my being. I felt that even up until this day. Like, I don't necessarily have to be the best out there, but just the feeling of knowing that I'm becoming a better teacher, that just kind of fulfills me, making me feel like I can teach the lessons better to my students, that they're having a great time in my class. I just absolutely enjoy that, just the feeling of becoming a better teacher. So that's just one tip to keep in mind. Another thing, making it throughout your year. Use a calendar. Now, I went to Office Max and I purchased one of those fancy calendars. But nothing worked better than my Outlook calendar, because I could see daily what I was supposed to do. I would set a reminder in there so that it could come up, because I knew I had to check my email all the time. Now, am I pulling out that calendar from Office Max all the time? No, I'm not. But I knew that I would always check my email. So use your calendar in Outlook. schedule meetings using that, and for my reminders to pop up. Sometimes in the way that this new Outlook is set up, I don't like the way my reminders pop up. So I'll just kind of schedule a meeting with myself so I can see that pop up in my calendar. So use that calendar to keep track of meetings. I also use my cell phone. I put reminders in my cell phone when I need to check grades for my department, when I need to actually do grades. I try to keep a lot of reminders, because again, so much comes at you and you will forget so much. So constantly find a place to put those reminders. Now, I was the most organized person before I started teaching. I actually was an office manager sometime before that. And I was just so organized. But if you go in my classroom now, you'll be like, what hurricane came through here? Now, I try to keep up day to day. And again, the only way I can make it is using those reminders. Another tip that the teacher gave me when she went to the ed camp, one of the things they said is to color code everything in Outlook to see how you are spending your time. Where do you spend most time at? Where do you need to spend more time? Where do you need to spend less time? So color code everything. And again, make sure you plug in time for yourself. You got to do something that you love doing, because teaching, you will get so caught up in it and so encompassed with everything that is going on with teaching that you will not set time aside for yourself. My first year teaching, I was at school all the time. I'm still at school all the time, but my first year, I was there daily at night. Like, I would be leaving when the custodians left. Maybe around 9:30, 10 o'clock, still taking work home, bringing stuff back. It's not a good thing to do. And I know it sounds bad, but, and I'm the type of person, I wanted to get everything done. That's why I did that. But you have to know when to cut it off. So color code the Outlook calendar, figure out how you are spending your time. Also in Outlook, you want to make sure you delete unnecessary emails. I don't know, like my first year teaching, I thought I had an unlimited storage on emails, and now I'm having to go back, delete emails from that time period just so I can be able to send emails out. So unnecessary emails, delete them. Also, if an email has an attachment, save that attachment to your document so that it will not take up much of your mailbox space in your Outlook. Next thing I have is to find somewhere to put your reminders or your daily notes. Post-it notes do not work for me. I don't care if I stick it on my computer, something that I'm looking at all the time. If I put it on my desk, it just does not work for me. Again, what I like to use, I like to use my phone for reminders. One time I even thought about pulling out my Palm Palette. But I was like, no, that's kind of just too old. But find somewhere to put your reminders. Even maybe just get a little notebook, a little miniature notebook to kind of jot down a to-do list. So find somewhere to put that stuff. Here's my dog again. Next thing, I already said find some time each week to do something that makes you happy. But also, take a day off. They give you days off for a reason, whether it's a personal day or a sick day. You have that for a reason. My first year, I did not really take any days off. Like I said, at that time I got sick at the end of January, beginning of February, I had to take a day. But other than that, I was in school every day. And my mom made me go to school every day when I was younger. Like, even if we was sick, she shipped us off to school. So I think that's where I kind of get it from. But they give you those days for a reason, even if it's just a personal well-being day. Even if you need to take a day to get caught up, because the weekend goes by so fast, take a day off. So that's about it that I have for making it through the year. Now, these are just some things I found making it in your class. Number one, especially coming out as a first year teacher, and doing your lesson plans, where are these lessons going to come from? Your district should have some type of curriculum for you to go by. And that curriculum you will use to incorporate in your lesson plans. But sometimes that curriculum is just not going to be enough. I would suggest, and one of my coworkers, this is my first year ever experiencing this. I don't know how long it's been out, but join one of those Facebook groups specific to your content. Like me, I'm in a group called National AP Bio Teachers, or another biology group that I'm in. Those groups are so awesome. Now, if you ever wanted to be the type of teacher that one of those great teachers you had growing up, then trust me, look in one of those groups or join one of those groups, because they have that content for you to be a great teacher. Number two, if you teach at a higher level, if you teach at a secondary level, and students are using Google Classroom, then create a folder in your Outlook inbox, so that anytime a student submits work, send it to that folder, so that you can make sure you are checking what they are turning in. Even if they share something with you, make sure you put it in that folder, so that you can go back and make sure you are grading all of their assignments. Now, as far as grading, what I do is mainly every Friday I get my grading done, unless it's something that I have to get done that day. And I do grade a little bit differently. Again, I have packets that most of my students' work goes in, and I talked about that in one of my other videos. But all their grades I try to have in by the end of that week. Friday is just my day to grade. I don't want to go out. I don't necessarily want to do anything, because I need to kind of wind down from the week. So I try to grade on Fridays. The worst thing you can do is not grade as much as you should. You don't want to grade 2 weeks out or wait a month and grade an assignment, because a student can be passing your class, and as soon as you start putting all of those grades in when it's close to report card time, they may start failing. And then you may get a call from a parent saying they want to schedule a parent conference with you and the principal and whoever, because you're not putting in your grades like you should, because their child was passing and now they started failing and they did not know because you were not putting in your grades. So try to schedule some time to do your grades. Next thing I have is you want to make sure you set some non-negotiable rules for your class. Now, I have certain things that I go over. I go over the first day of school. I go over the first week, and I do a constant reminder. I just have some pet peeves, things that I will not negotiate on with my students. Like, number one, nothing irks my nerves more than students getting up, walking around class. I don't know where you're going. I don't know what you're doing. If I'm teaching, my eyes have to leave what I'm doing to follow you around to make sure everything is legit. So one of my non-negotiables with my students is just stay in your seat. I don't even care if they are sitting with a friend. And really, I let my students choose their own seats until they show me that they cannot stay there anymore. But I don't care where you are sitting, but I just need to make sure that you are in a seat, because a lot can go wrong if students are out of a seat. So that's one of my non-negotiables. So figure out what your non-negotiables are, things that you know will absolutely not make your classroom run smoothly, and go over those with your students. I don't know what number this is, but the next thing, you will spend buku money. And I'm not talking about money that you get from the district. They do some type of reimbursement. Like my district, I think they do $50 for middle school teachers and $25 for high school. And I know some other districts, they put all the money on a card for teachers so that they can go out and purchase things. But you're going to spend a lot more than that. So just plan for that in your budget. Like me being a science teacher, we have things that we have to get. Like the other week, I had to do a lab for my class, and we had to buy eggs, or we had to buy potatoes, or things like that. You will have to plan out money for that, and you're going to spend that money. Like us, we do get it reimbursed back, so I don't necessarily mind spending that money. But you're going to go beyond that reimbursement. So just know that you'll spend extra money. And that whatever the government gives you back, I think you can claim up to $250 on your taxes. Man, they really need to step that number up because you spend a lot more than that throughout the year. Now, what I found out throughout the years is that I don't necessarily buy things that I don't necessarily need. Like every year I would go buy new markers, new colored pencils, this, that, just to make sure I had that stuff to run in my classroom. Now, I just buy exactly what I need because I don't want to spend any extra money. Next thing, when you have to take that day off and you have to plan for a sub, it is a lot of work. When you are planning for a sub, you kind of just really just want to say scratch it out, just come in, because you have to set things up. You have to get that lesson done. You have to get your attendance rosters done. You have to put out things to do, what will happen in an emergency. It's good to keep a binder for all of that stuff. But as far as creating a lesson for each one of your classes and putting that stuff out, you're going to spend about an hour planning for your sub. And it's just kind of no way around it. After you plan out, you go make your copies and all of that, you're just going to feel like at the end, I may as well just come in. So just know that if you plan on being out, maybe plan for that on a weekend or so. Plan to get that stuff done that you're going to leave on a weekend or so. Next thing, it's going to take a lot of time for you to plan and get your grades done. And I like to call this unpaid overtime, because we do get a planning period, but you just do not have a lot of time to get that stuff done in your planning period. So you will put in a lot of overtime, and it's going to be unpaid. And I don't mind it. Again, I'm used to it. This is something that I do, and I know that it's something that has to get done. So just know that you'll have a lot of unpaid overtime. Next thing, if you do not know the answer to a question that the students is asking, it is okay. Like me, I took a while before I went back and used the knowledge that I learned in college. So I had to kind of refresh myself with all of that. And I spent time doing it that summer prior to. But every question that a student kicks out, you're not going to know the answer to. And it's okay. What I tell my students, hey, I don't really know that answer, but I tell you what, if you can find the answer to that question real quick, then I'll give you some extra points on the test, or I'll give you some type of extra credit, because chances are I want to know the answer too. I probably just have not thought about that question. So it is okay if you do not know the answer to every question that the student is asking. And if they don't want to find it, always go back and find the answer to their question, because they felt like it was important to ask. Next thing, what I like to do if I am collecting work, I like to, once I collect work, staple all of the papers that I get in. So I'll collect it and I get them and I staple that one. I staple all the papers. Number one, that means that nobody can say I lost their paper. If I lost one person's paper, that means I lost everyone's paper. And students will try to say, "Ooh, I turned it in," but you did not. But you lost it. No, I did not lose it, because if I lost yours, I lost everyone's. Number two, my homework. When I collect homework, and this is just what I do, I collect homework in the morning. The students have to leave homework with me before school starts, because I don't want them to work on their homework in someone else's class. So what I do when I get all of their homework in, I staple all of those papers. I'm going to tell y'all, one year, one of my students, he tried to, when he got in class that day, throw his paper under my desk and was like, "Look, you got something on the floor." And I picked it up. It was his homework. No. I'm like, "Why is your homework here?" He's like, "Well, I turned it in this morning. I don't know." No, you did not turn that homework in this morning. I've been here throughout the day. That paper has not been on the floor. So I tend to like to staple all of the students' work. And again, it helps me to keep track of who turned what in on time. And again, losing those papers. Another thing, you want to make sure you keep some items in your classroom that the students will use all year. Pencils. Now, I know a lot of people like to say, "I'm not your mom or your dad. I'm not going to be providing pencils or pens for you. But how is a student going to get their work done if you do not give those things to the students if they need it? So I don't mind keeping those things in my class. If a child needs that, then I make sure they have it, because that's something that they need to succeed. Lotion. Man, I get ashy, so I know my students get ashy, and they may forget to put on that stuff coming out the house. So that's just another thing that I keep in my classroom. Deodorant, I don't keep, but they can get it from the school's nurse. That's something good to have around. Clorox wipes, oh my gosh, or Lysol wipes, whatever you like. That is one of the best things to keep in your classroom. It helps with spills. If kids try to sneak and eat in your classroom and they spill something on the floor, then you can get it up with a Clorox wipe. You can have the students wipe down their desk, again, because of what I said. You want to make sure you prevent any type of sickness. So you want to make sure you clean all of that stuff off using a Clorox wipe. So that's one thing, one of the things I like to keep in my class. They just kind of come in handy for miscellaneous stuff. Kleenex, keep that in your classroom, and that will avoid students having to say, can I run to the restroom to go get some tissue? No, we have some right here, so you can use that tissue. Hand sanitizer is another thing. Again, just from spreading infection, keep that in your class. Now, I have a sink in my classroom. The kids can actually wash their hands. I let them do that. But that's just something that you want to make sure you keep in your class. So that's about it that I have for my tips. If I think of anything else, I will pin it. But just in closing, a couple of things. You want to make sure that you find a buddy teacher. And I know times, I know that a lot of districts, they do offer mentor teachers in your building. But do find a teacher in your building that you can go and talk to about things, and not necessarily your lead teacher, just somebody you can confide in, because you're going to have some rough days. And the good may not always outweigh the bad. But you want to start pushing it so that your good can outweigh your bad. So find a veteran teacher to talk to, somebody that may be able to help you. I like to speak to the principal. And what she likes to say is she's our principal. And she really is a pal. Sometimes just venting to her and letting stuff off and getting things off of my chest, I feel like that's really good. I feel like there's nobody else better to talk to than her. So just find somebody in your building to talk to. Find somebody at home, outside of school, to speak with about your day. And again, don't forget, do those daily reflections. So that's pretty much all I have. If again you know anything else that can help me out, or you want to add something to this list, then drop it down in the comments below. Thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. I will catch back up with you later.
Damn. Yeah.